Croatia could read. They could read what poets and intellectuals in Zagreb were writing, and there was this national awakening because you could spread ideas between these national groups that speak the same language. So we moved into this age of nation states, and we are still currently in this age of nation states. It feels to us that the world was never different, that we were always in the age of nation states, but it's very important to remember that this is a relatively new invention. It's only about 200 years old. And this global order of nation states is under attack. Let's take Germany for an example. Okay, Germany was a nation for Germans. Then it expanded as a nation for Europeans. Croatians who were looking for a better life could move to Germany, and they could become German or integrate there and live happily. Same as Germans coming to Croatia. But as time goes on, we are expanding and expanding who can live in our states. So for example, Germany is now importing millions and millions of Africans that are not the same ethnicity, not the same language, not the same religion, not the same culture. So is Germany now even a nation state, or is it just a state? You know, when you stop being a nation state, you get these tensions, and then you need to increase the policing to keep the order, and it starts looking suspiciously like an empire, like a state looking for subjects just to expand the power of the state, acting in the interest of the state and not necessarily the nation. So there's still some tension in what the world is going to be organized like, and this is kind of going in the past, like searching for subjects instead of going deeper into the nation. But there is another alternative. We can go deeper into the idea of the nation, because now you're no longer bound by your language group. Essentially, most people in the world now speak multiple languages. We have internet, you can connect with anybody, and we have cheap travel. So if you want to, if you like the presentation about Próspera, you can literally go on a plane tomorrow and just stay there and live there and make a new life. This is now possible. Technology allows us this. And this allows us to solve some tensions that we have currently in the world. In the world, currently, we have a lot of political tensions. What rules are we going to live in? What is the culture that we're going to have? Should we be Yugo-nostalgic? Should we listen to Thompson? Should we forbid Thompson? Should we vote for Trump or Kamala or whatever? And currently, in this current system, the only choice that you have to implement your ideas is to force them on everybody in the same state or nation. And this will always cause tension because, okay, like nation states are better that we are working in our interest and not the interest of some imperial core in Vienna or Istanbul. But it is also the fact that nations between them have a lot of ideological differences, political differences, and we now have the technology and the means not necessarily to share the same state for all the people in the same nation. We can have this concept of a network tribe state. You can make a city-state or a small economic zone or a small zone which is voluntary to live in. So you can move there, you can accept their rules, you can accept their legislation, their way of life, their culture, and live peacefully, even though you might not agree with how the city next to you chooses to have different rules. Now, these new zones are already here. So, for example, Próspera raised hundreds of millions of dollars. Network School also raised a lot of money and have a lot of people. The most famous ones are Singapore and Dubai. So essentially they're pieces of desert or swamp that there's nothing there, but just with different ideas and different governance, they managed to make something great. And yeah, billions of people, billions of dollars, I would dare say trillions, and thousands and millions of people are already supporting this movement. For example, Donald Trump is going on about freedom cities in the US. Vitalik Buterin, he is the inventor of Ethereum. It's the second biggest crypto project in the world. He made his Zuzulu cities. I was in Zuzulu. I'm wearing the shirt because we don't have a presenter from Zuzulu. But essentially, yeah, he's starting to do his own network cities. Elon Musk is constantly talking about how we need innovation in governance, and when he makes a colony on Mars or the Moon, that it will be its own state. Balaji, he made Coinbase, a very famous crypto person. He made the network state that we had a presentation before. Justin Sun, he's essentially the Chinese Vitalik. He made Tron, very big crypto, essentially Chinese Ethereum. He is the Prime Minister of Liberland. Liberland is another project that we'll go into more in depth. Roger Ver, nicknamed Bitcoin Jesus. He also funded Liberland in its beginning. So there's a lot of support here. These things will happen. It is not a question of if, but when and where. But all of these projects have one critical vulnerability. Take for example Próspera. Próspera is great, you should visit, I recommend it. However, Próspera is in Honduras. They are not sovereign, they are Honduran lands. And Honduras allows them to play their game, but at any point, if the government changes, they can just say, okay guys, the party is over, we are nationalizing you. Yes, of course, they will feel some pain doing this, but essentially they have every right to do this because it is Honduran land. The same situation is, for example, with Dubai. Okay, Dubai treats you well if you go there and start a business. But they do this because they decided it is good for their state to do this. So Dubai is part of United Arab Emirates, and you will never become an Emirati, no matter how integrated you are in Dubai. You will never be one of them. In Dubai, you will always be a subject, a very well treated subject, but still, you cannot become one of them. And this is the major issue with all these projects. They are not independent, they are not sovereign. Why? So the obvious question is, why don't you just buy a piece of land and declare independence and have a sovereign new nation there? Well, let's take an example. In Croatia, we have this island called Babina Guzica. It's essentially just a rock in the middle of the sea. It's completely useless, but it's Croatia. Now let's say that Elon Musk decides to come with a literal mountain of gold and say, I want to buy Babina Guzica, I will give you trillions and trillions of dollars, but I will declare independence. We cannot do this. International law doesn't allow us, and the Croatian constitution doesn't allow us. The Croatian constitution and all the constitutions in the world say that nations are indivisible. Once you have your territory, you must defend every last centimeter of this territory to essentially the last living person in your country. So it's legally impossible to sell or give up land. And this is the major reason why we didn't see more states coming up, because we are in the age of nations and all the land is already owned by nations. However, we have something special. So, a bit of history again. Back in the age of empires, when about 150 years ago, we were part of Austrian Empire. And the border between us and Serbia was the Danube River. And the Danube River was at that time going like left and right, like this, snaking around, and it's very hard to do any traffic through the river. So the Austrians decided, okay, we want to connect Vienna to the sea, but we need to straighten the river. So they straightened the river, and now it's much more useful for commercial travel. but they changed the borders. But we were part of the same empire, so nobody cared. And then we were part of Yugoslavia, so nobody cared. And then we had this war in Serbia, and now somebody cares. So when you change the border like this, there are always going to be some parts of Croatia that ended up on the Serbian side, and some parts of Serbia that ended up on the Croatian side. And this dispute has been going on for 150 years. It has never been resolved, essentially because nobody cares. But there's one special thing about this dispute. Everybody wants the original piece of Croatia. It is much larger and it is useful. And nobody wants the original piece of Serbia. So just to be clear, Croatia can just decide to annex it anytime in the last 150 years. We don't want to do this. There's no reason to. Serbia also, they have very publicly given it up. Okay, Serbia is probably one of the few countries that is very practiced in giving up territory, so I guess it's easier for them. Yeah, so there is this piece of land, original piece of Serbia, that is abandoned. It's called Bona Vacantia or Terra Nullius, depending on how you want to say it. And if we decide to give up this land or sell it, there is this critical benefit of this land is that no country currently owns it. There is no constitutional problems. There is no international law problems. It's the perfect place to start a new state. So this territory called Gornja Siga, or now Liberland, there are essentially two futures for it. Either Serbia or Croatia annexes it. Okay, it's a swamp. There are a few trees there. There are a few pigs there. There are like thousands of euros of economic activity that you can get there, which for a country is essentially nothing. Or we can choose to be the first one to take advantage of this new trend in history and make something new there. Make a free zone. Allow free private cities to fly right there. As we've seen, this is already happening, and all of these investments will just flow into this region. Billions in international investment, billions in trade, wet lab for new governance models, and just general prestige for being the first and the best in this new piece of history. Why is this a good place? So it is close to the EU. EU is one of the three superpowers of the world right now, so it is essentially close to the major economy. It is connected to the global trade through Danube. There is no sovereignty issue. This is the biggest one. So all these other zones are essentially just on top of some other country. This would be truly sovereign. There would be no anxiety about getting nationalized, getting attacked, or some new government getting in power and just deciding to cancel everything. True sovereign territory is possible here and only here. And of course, just the political stability. Okay, political stability in the Balkans, it's a bit of oxymoron, but look, we are comparing it to Latin America, so we get points here. And of course, Croatia and Serbia are developed nations that something like this can very quickly grow on our borders. Why do we want this? So essentially we can choose to create a neighbor that we can have good relations with. So we can essentially create a good neighbor. Why is this good? So first, of course, trade. Trade only happens if both sides consent to it, so it is just by definition good, because all trade is good, because if it wasn't good, it wouldn't happen. So a new trade partner. A lot of capital inflow. So we know that all these projects are getting a lot of money. For example, this network school is part of Forest City. Forest City is just on the other side of the bay from Singapore. It's a different country, it's in Malaysia, not Singapore. But just the existence of Singapore motivated the construction of an entire new city just to make use of this in a completely new country, just to make use of this proximity. And this will, of course, happen to Croatia and Serbia. There will be a lot of capital and infrastructure coming in. And probably the most important part is jobs. So, for example, a lot of Croatians get a job in Germany, they move to Germany, and they essentially just come back to Croatia for Easter and Christmas. So this is essentially immigration. They found a new job and they move there. However, if we do it in Liberland or Gornja Siga, a person from Osijek wakes up in the morning, drives 30 minutes, go take a job that's much higher paying. After he's done with his job, drives back home to his family, and essentially has high Western wages while never moving away from Osijek. The same situation happens with essentially all these economic zones. The highest earners in Honduras are those who travel every day to Próspera. The highest earners from Malaysia are those who travel every day to Singapore. Same with Monaco, and this is the pattern that we see everywhere. It works, and we can just get it here. Yeah, so even though this area is just useless, Singapore went from the poorest country in the world to one of the richest in 60 years. Dubai did that in 30 years. Some people think it's because of oil, which is partly true. Abu Dhabi is because of oil. Dubai doesn't have oil. Dubai is just like this special zone. And Próspera did this in 10 years. And here on the border of Croatia, we can probably do the same in 5 or 10 years. So the time to return on investment is really, really short. And there are a lot of teams that are already working on it. So you heard from Próspera, you heard from Network School, you heard from Infinita. There are these freedom cities in America. They're currently going nowhere, but the initiative is there, the interest is there. There's this Zuzalu from Vitalik. There is also Liberland that are already living in that land. Now, Liberland has made a few strategic errors. So, for example, the approach of Liberland was essentially, okay, we plant a flag here, this is our land now, without consulting the neighbors. So that strategy hasn't worked really well. But they're still here. Like even through all these challenges, there are Liberlanders living in this land. So the point is, there is so much money, and there are so many people, and the time is right in history to do this. We just have to have the proper opportunity, and we have it. Croatia and Serbia are the only place in the world that has this very, very valuable resource of unclaimed land that can be sold, that is very sought after in the world, that if we do it right, we can be the pioneers for this new era of history, and the only thing we have to do is nothing. Okay, cool. Any questions? Yo.
Okay.
Okay. First, I have two submarine questions. The first one is so the argument that neither Croatia nor Serbia will want to annex the smaller piece of land instead of the larger one is basically that it is smaller, but in case the smaller piece of land makes billions of dollars in GDP, then obviously both of them might want to annex this territory.
The only way it makes billions in GDP is that both of them leave it alone. It only makes billions of GDP if it's a free zone. And this is the only piece in the world where you can make a free zone without stepping on any constitutional and international law issues.
But like, would Croatia or Serbia get any taxes from it?
From trade, so carina, tariffs, the jobs from Croatians, the investments, not directly, they wouldn't be passing this land because it's not their land, never has been. But there are a lot of benefits that you can have from having a good and powerful and wealthy neighbor like this.
Yeah, sure. But you still have the risk of being annexed at some point.
Well, since it would be sovereign land, you would also have the option to shoot back. Which is extremely important. Like, Próspera does not have this option. Like, they can't just send 3 policemen there and they will kick them out.
Actually, Liberland is not the only country who is actually there seeking for some kind of free zone there on Dunav. And actually, there is also another project called Free Republic of Verdis, which is actually really close to Liberland. Then Enclava, or Kingdom of Enclava, which moved from Slovenian and Croatian border actually there to the same Gornja Siga, and Paradium, Free Republic of Paradium. If you can just
yeah, essentially we have, so the river has changed, not in one place, but in many places. We have 3 or 4 of these pockets that are unclaimed. Liberland is the biggest one because it's bigger than Monaco. All these other ones are a couple of hundred square meters. So yes, in theory you can have a free zone there, but you're gonna essentially have like 5 buildings in these other ones. Liberland and Gornja Siga is by far the most relevant.
Yeah, sorry, but actually the Free Republic of Paradium, actually they're looking for the same territory. If we are looking for the much further in the future, actually there, why if that someone else will come there and actually decide, okay, that's our also, and if you can also shortly just elaborate, actually in the Croatian, it's called Gruntovnica and Katastar, there is also mismatch between the Croatian and Serbian papers, right?
Well, the mismatch used to be there 150 years ago. Now it is not owned by anyone. Like it is not in Croatian cadastre. It is not, and never has been. Maybe it is in some old Serbian ones, but Serbia has repeatedly said that they don't want it and they give it up. Regarding of who wins here, like if Liberland wins or this other Republic of whatever, it is up to us. It is up to Croatia to decide. Okay, I mean, we had the option to just say, okay, it's not ours. It's now king of the hill. Whoever brings more more guns wins. Or we can just decide like this area is under Croatian and Serbian jurisdiction, and if we decide we like these guys, we can give it to these guys. So we can kind of choose and pick the best of the options. Yep.
Why not ask one or the other or both countries for a 99 years concession like it was for Hong Kong?
We cannot ask for 99 years concession of something that they don't have. Like this is like neither country owns this. They cannot make deals about it. They can only annex it or abandon it. Like you can ask 99-year concession for Babina Guzica, but you cannot ask 99-year concession for Mars because nobody owns Mars.
Yeah, okay, then ask for 99 years concession for Babina Guzica.
Yeah, that's what Próspera.
It's nicer than this piece near the Danube.
That's what Próspera does. They ask for this 99-year special economic zone status. That's what Hong Kong did. And always the story is the same. You build something, the government changes, they want to take it from you. Especially if you are like a new community. So, for example, in Honduras, okay, Honduras benefit from this, but you're not Honduran when you're there. And when the government switches from capitalist to communist, they're like, ooh, we can steal something. Same thing happened with Hong Kong, same thing happened with Próspera. Okay, Próspera won this time, and who knows about the next time. Sovereignty is really important for us.
And actually, probably in the current nation system, the only way to adopt something like this is the referendum, right? Which can then, with the major votes of the citizens from the Croatia or Serbia, whatever, there actually it could be founded the new state between there, like the Monaco or whatever.
No, you do not need a referendum. This is purely an administrative decision because it is not part of your territory. It's like some colony or something.
I don't think you can have referendums for seceding territory. I think they are trying to avoid Catalonia, Spain, and like some regions in Donbass, Ukraine, but like I don't think that's recognized under international law.
Yes, like in the age of nations, territorial changes are extremely hard to do, which is why this is a very special, very valuable resource, because it is unowned territory that can essentially be sold to the highest bidder. And this is unique everywhere, precisely for the fact that nobody owns it.
But how do you practically then get it? If Croatia, if Serbia doesn't want it and Croatia doesn't claim it, yeah, of course you can go there and say now this is ours, but I've seen that, I don't know if it's Liberland or Verdis, but I think Croatian special police came there and kicked the guys out.
No, not the special, the border police. Border police is essentially the only authority that exists there. But this is due to the international agreement between Croatia and Serbia. They're essentially saying, okay, we will stop the fires and the migrants from there. For example, I'm Croatian and I have planted Liberland flag inside Liberland. And I can do this and it's completely legal. If I do this in Zagreb, this is treason and it's 20 years in jail. So it is being policed, but the laws are not the same, the jurisdiction is not the same. So yeah, you cannot like bring a nuclear reactor there. You need to ask permission from Plenković first.
Yeah, you can.
But how would you do this?
How do you claim?
Well, if I knew, we would be having this conference in Liberland and not in Zagreb. So my kind of strategy is to build this presence here, get to Plenković or whoever is going to be the next guys in charge, offer them sufficiently big carrot, and do it this way. Especially as we all see that this age of nations is very unstable, like international law is very shaky legs, and it would be better if it moves into these network states rather than revert back to age of empires.
Do you know what would happen if the border dispute over the larger piece of land would be resolved?
Yeah, the border dispute is set up that the loser gets Liberland. However, they have no obligation to keep it. Like, you can just not keep it. It's never in your territory. And it's much more valuable if it's not your territory.
Just very practical question. Since it's in the middle of the river, does it get flooded when the river rises and then?
Partially yes, but this is a technical problem. You can just raise up the entire area by 3 meters and it's going to
Build
cost.
islands.
Yeah, it's a very solvable technical question. Yep.
What's your theoretical maximum number of residents on that time? Because it's very small.
It's bigger than Monaco, I think.
Yeah, it's not 2 times bigger than Monaco, but still, Monaco has 50,000 residents.
Yeah, so just by going of Monaco density, it would be 150 residents, 150,000 residents. If you have a bigger density, it can be more. So we still have a lot of, we have room to work with. I believe that there are like 500,000 or 1 million people that would be interested in moving in such a place. That's okay. That means the price increases, and of course we would only be the first one. There are also, if this succeeds here in Croatia, it will be a much bigger motivating factor for everybody else to start doing the same thing, or start seasteading, or whatever.
But
Yeah, you cannot accommodate the whole world. You do not want to accommodate the whole world because, again, this would be network states. You would only have zones in which people with the same ideas and the same governance preferences would be living there. So 150 to half a million is a very big success. I mean, we don't have to think about, oh no, 10 million people, what are we going to do now? We're going to reject them or build them in Arizona or somewhere else.
do you, let me phrase it. Do you do you want Liberland to exist only through the people that are physically living there, or do you think about doing something that Monaco has been doing with offering citizenship to other people? For example, Luka Modric is a citizen of Monaco and doesn't pay Croatian taxes. Thompson does something similar and he lives in Split. So, do you want to have like an enclave of like-minded people in Liberland, or do you want it to be some kind of territory open to free thinkers that can register their company and do their business there, but can run it from, I don't know, Moscow or Rome or Madrid?
Okay, so you're essentially asking, is it going to be a tax heaven or tax haven?
Well, yeah.
It's a big difference. So tax heaven is a place where you are not taxed, not regulated, but you need to do it there. Tax haven is where you go hide your income that you earn from somewhere else. I much prefer to be heaven for people who are living there, working there, and actually are aligned ideologically. But again, what it's going to be is up to Croatia. It's essentially up to us because it is our land to decide who's going to. Well, it's not our land, but it is currently under our management, and we can decide who to give it up to and how it's going to be. I prefer Liberland to be a place for people who actually live there. But all these projects, by necessity, because there's just not good enough physical manifestation, are networks of people that are sometimes there, but mostly somewhere else and internationally doing businesses. But for example, if you want to, you personally can today register your company in Próspera or Liberland, engage in Próspera and Liberland courts, sign contracts there. So for example, if you and I are doing something in Croatia, some deal, we can do it under the jurisdiction of Liberland courts, as long as it's not something physical here. So even in this network stage, there is some usage. There is some usefulness to this. Okay, a lot of questions. Thank you, everybody. I think we are going to have a small break. Oh shit. I think we missed. The next presentation. So take a 5-minute break if you want. We are going to have the last online talk, and then